What's up, guys? Happy Thursday. It's early. It's 1:30. Doing an IG live with my boy Jay Glazer over at Corkian. I don't know if I pronounced that right. Group in New York. I know him through Tom Ferry, and he's a badass. I think he's like top something in his brokerage. So gonna have him on, ask him some questions, and yeah, I'm looking forward to it. All right, here we go. Jay Glazer, what is up, brother? He should be on here in a second. Let's see here. What up?
That was the greatest introduction in the history of introductions.
That was pretty bad, bro. I don't know. How do you Corcoran?
You're right. The best way to describe it is, do you know Barbara Corcoran from Shark Tank?
Of course, yeah.
That's her name. It's her
No,
company.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
okay. A lot of people don't know that.
No, I know that. It's not very popular here in LA. She just
Yeah.
I think she's been out here for maybe a year or so.
Wait, there's a Corcoran. Because they started franchising.
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah, so
Okay,
Corcoran
gotcha.
started like a franchise division. I don't know. I think during COVID, basically, and and they've been now franchising people. So they used to have one in San Francisco. I didn't actually think they were in LA, but maybe they are. I should probably.
I think I've seen their name around here. Not very popular yet, but I'm sure it'll grow a little bit over here.
Yeah, well,
so
anyway, it's big here. I think we're the #1 size firm in New York City. Wait, what happened? I lost you.
Can you hear me? Hold on.
Oh, yeah, it's better. There's issues with Instagram Live? Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Hello. Are we back?
Can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Sorry, my client was calling me, and I declined the call. So let me put this on Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb is on.
Close that $10 million deal before speaking to me.
Actually put him in under contract, just under six mil. So
that was a good guess.
Yeah. I mean, I'm trying to get to that price point, to that 10 million plus price point. I've done several in the 5 to 7, but a lot in between like the 2 and 4, but I really want to get to that 10 plus price point. So that's my next goal.
You and me both.
But thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate it. So tell me about you. I don't know anything about you. I know that you're a fun guy. Everybody talks about you. And I noticed that. Yes, it is very true. And we had a good time together. So I really appreciated that. But tell me about your real estate career.
So my real estate career. So I've been doing this since I was 24 years old. So 12 years. So I'm 36. It was my first true career profession out of graduate school. So I had always had jobs in the restaurant industry. Waiting tables, bartended in graduate school. I cooked. I prep cooked. I line cooked. I pastry cooked. I've literally done almost every position in the restaurant industry. And I actually was working my way in the restaurant industry during grad school when I was finishing my thesis here in the city. And I actually burnt out pretty hard one night. And a buddy, or a family friend, I really should say, was like, I think you'd be good in real estate. You have a big personality. You're from New York, the city, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, okay, sure, let me give it a shot. That was 12 years ago. Little did I know that would become, my full-time gig. But I was his assistant for a year. Yeah, I was assistant for a year. I got paid very, very little. He paid me a weekly stipend to basically just stay afloat. But I liked it. And then I kind of had this instinct of going out on my own. And there was a buddy of mine at another firm. And he's like, come join my firm. We'll partner up. And he never really sunk his teeth into it. So I was kind of always on my own. For the most part, and I just sort of started building my business that way. I latched on with a lot of older agents who were sort of not super interested in working that hard, and I was always a hard worker, and working open houses and working directs and that sort of thing, and especially as a new agent, a lot of buy-side business, and then it just started kind of snowballing. Success kind of leads to more success if you're good and you put your head down.
That's awesome, man.
And then that was 12 years ago, which is insane. 2009. I guess. Wait,
That's
no.
Awesome, dude.
This was 12 years ago. Yeah.
So how long have you been with Tom?
I've been coaching with Tom. You want the full Tom story?
I want the full Tom story.
Okay, so I've always been a big like self-help guy,
Okay.
improvement guy. I've always been
Yeah.
really big into education and betterment. So I've been to a bunch of Tony Robbins events. And at the time when I was turned on to Tom as a coach, I was actually at Compass, and one of the managers there was like, "We're going to go to this Brian Buffini event. Are you interested?" And he was doing like one of these like big, kind of like the summit event for, equivalent. And I said, "Who's Brian Buffini?" Like, I have no idea who this guy is. And like, it's his coach. He's big into sphere of influence, blah, blah, blah. It's like, okay, sure, I'll go. And I actually like got a lot out of it. I mean, Brian Buffini is, an interesting coach, and I was, not blown away, but I was interested in the program. And then I was like, how can I sink my teeth into this more with other coaches? And somebody said, you should start watching Tom's videos. And I said, okay. So I watched a bunch of Tom's videos on YouTube, and I was like, damn, this guy's like, I'm picking up what this guy's putting down. And then the same guy who introduced me to Tom's videos was like, by the way, Tom's coming to do a tour of Compass, because Compass at the time was a very young company. And, obviously they maybe wanted to see if there was some work to do with Tom. So Tom walks into the office, Tom being the very energetic, passionate guy that he is, very, very magnetic personality, comes up to me and he's like, how much business are you doing? And I was like, I'm doing this amount of business. He's like, double your business and I'll give you $500 December 31st. Something to that effect.
Dude, that's awesome.
Like, I bet you
that is awesome.
So I was like, okay, like I get it, like, cool spiel. And he's like, take my number. If you need anything, text me. And at the time, I was really trying to get in with Brian Buffini's organization to like do coaching, but I couldn't even get a response back from anybody in their organization. And so I compared the two. I was like, I can't get a response from anybody on any level at Brian's office. And Tom gives me his cell phone number. So I immediately was like, that's my guy. And so the next day I signed up for coaching, and that was 2015, I believe. So 7 years.
All right.
Yeah.
That's a while, man.
Yeah, I'm not OG. I mean, there's some guys who've been Tom with a really long time.
Yeah.
I've known Tom, and I've been,
that's a good amount of time.
Yeah, it's a good amount of time. We've done a lot. I mean, I've been in elite coaching since day one. I mean, I was always in elite coaching, and it brings a lot of value. It's always good to have someone's looking at your business from an outsider's perspective.
Yeah, for sure. Who's your coach?
Jeff Mays.
Okay, so
I don't know if he's watching. Is Jeff watching? Same.
We have the same coach.
Oh, wait. Did we talk about this?
I don't know if we talked about it. I used to coach. So I started with Tom just 2 years ago, and 2.5 years ago. And I started working with Mary Jett. I'm not sure if you know Mary Jett.
Yeah, I know who she is. I don't know who. I don't know her personally.
So she's like the fucking best. She's amazing. She's like a mom. She loves, and she's just so caring. Like, and you can feel that energy. But she was coaching like Gary Gold from my office at Hilton, Hyland.
Yeah, I mean,
John Grauman, like a bunch of like really, really top agents.
Yeah.
And she's like, I have like 75 clients. Like, I can't take you on. And Gary Gold, he was the one who recommended me to her, and she had referred me to some other coaches. I talked to them. I didn't feel the same. So I called Mary Jett back. I was like, Mary Jett, please, I need you. Like, you're the only person that I really connected with. I'm like, I'm very coachable. Like, I got this. Please take me on as your client. She's like, okay, fine. So that was amazing. I was so grateful. And I actually told Tom at my first summit, which is the year before COVID, I think 2019. And and I told him, I said, he's like, who are you coaching with? I said, Mary Jett. He's like, how did you get Mary Jett? I was like, I begged her. He's like,
that's the way to do it. Yeah. Legit.
Yeah.
I think
awesome,
I've heard that kind of thing with, oh my God, I think she's in like Long Beach. She's a coach.
Oh, yeah.
Aline Rivera.
Yeah.
Aline will basically be like, I'm not interested in you being my coaching client. Like, no thanks. And then you have to like get on your hands and knees and beg for her to coach you.
Oh, really?
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never tried.
Gotcha. Yeah,
So
she's been around for a while.
So what happened with Mary Jett that you're not with her anymore, though?
Well, Tom ended up asking her to be the head of coaches. So now she's like the head of coaches at Tom Ferry.
Thanks.
So yeah, so I was really bummed about that, but I mean, I ended up getting Jeff Mays, who was just as badass. So I'm so lucky that I'm able to get, you know, some stuff
Right.
from Mary J and now from Jeff
Senior, right.
Mays.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, we have the broke agent, Eric. He said, fellas, Eric, check your fucking DMs, bro. I DM'd you to do an IG live. He never got back to me.
Yeah,
Come
Eric's
on,
a
man.
busy guy,
Come on, man. He lives
Eric's
up the street. He lives
Eric's
up
a
the street
busy
from me.
guy, selling sarcasm. Sarcasm ain't cheap,
It's true. Very,
right,
very true.
Eric?
So have you coached with Jeff the whole time?
No. So I was with Dove
Okay.
Silverman first, who, funny enough, when I was coaching with him, I believe was also asked to become the head of coaches, and so he was sort of spread a little thin, and then we basically I don't remember how I got. I think he said you should coach with Jeff, and this was, I think this was right when Jeff was first getting into coaching, because when I met, I shouldn't say met, but when I saw Jeff for the first time, it was actually one of these Tom X talks, which he does on that first day of Summit, where people talk about their experience, and Jeff was doing a talk about time blocking, and I was like, okay. Yeah. And Jeff was an interesting talk, and then I think because of that, he somehow got roped into coaching, and then
I see.
And now he's one of the main guys.
Yeah, he is.
I've been coaching with Jeff for a while. I mean, I think as long as these guys on my team have been here, Jeff's been my coach. So like 4 years.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, he's great. I love his energy. He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude.
He's got a lot of, Jeff's he's a bro like us, and
yes, he is.
And he's got a lot of experience. It's like I said. I think in New York, one thing I've learned with New York agents is we get really full of ourselves. Like, oh, we're in New York, the rules don't apply for us. Everything's different here, which is partially true in that things are different here. Our processes are very different. Yeah. But you can still learn a ton from an agent doing 300 transactions in Kansas City.
Yes.
Right? They're going to have systems and processes in place that allow them to do that kind of volume and that kind of transaction flow, that you can definitely learn stuff. So Jeff is in Virginia, and a lot of times people are like, oh, what is a guy in Virginia going to be able to teach me? But Jeff's been in the industry for so long. I think he's since he's been a kid, basically. So there's a lot to learn from that, which is helpful to our business.
So where were you at when you first started with Tom? Like solo agent, or do you have a team, or have an assistant?
That's a great question. I had an assistant, and Tom's program 100% without question led me, or at least really pushed me to growing a team. Because Tom's been all in on teams since the day I joined coaching. If not before, he was probably already talking about it a lot, but when I got in there, first day, Tom was I remember my first summit was in San Diego, and Tom was there's three types of there's three types of agents. There's a solo agent. I think he said four. There's the solo agent. There's the husband, wife. Then there's the Navy SEALs team, and then there's the mega team. He's like, which one do you want to be? And I was like, I never want to be a mega team because I don't want to be just a nameless face. Yeah. But I like the idea of a Navy SEALs team. So now that's kind of the operational that's kind of the program we run on the Glazer team.
Yeah, that's interesting because I was talking to Elia.
Elia.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. Elia.
Sorry.
And I was
a lot of people think he's
Elia.
A girl, a woman, right?
Sorry, Elia.
He's sitting 5 feet from me.
Where is he from, by the way? He has an accent.
He's Australian.
Oh, Australian, sweet, awesome, man. So, what is your team structure? That's really curious to me because I just started growing my team 6 months ago, and I have 3 agents under me, and I have an operations manager, and I have a full-time VA, and I got a couple
You got a lot. You got a big team going for 6 months. I mean, you scaled way quicker than I did. That's for sure. So we have.
Yeah, go ahead.
No. So we have officially we have 5 team members, including myself. We have we have an operations director who's literally I'm looking at him. My marketing manager's 5 feet to my left, and then we have 2 full-time agents in addition to myself. And then we have a woman who works closely with us for some of our Brooklyn business, but she's not an official member of the team. And then we job out little rentals and little things, smaller sales here and there because we just we hit capacity and we don't want to lose those deals, but we also
sure.
But we're definitely always we're definitely looking to grow, but again, I don't want to grow to this point of massive, size where it just becomes like unmanageable. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you mentioned John Grauman, like his team is basically
Huge.
His team at this point is basically like an entire company, which is impressive. Like,
Yeah.
if that, it's impressive to see what he's done, and like to me that's overwhelming. But absolutely, like, hats off to him for being, and his wife for being able to pull that off.
Yeah.
The two of them have crushed it. So
yeah, for sure.
it's
I know. Like just with 3 agents, I'm starting to see it's like, the more you have, the more you rely on those systems and processes. So what do you use for your systems and processes?
Yeah, so for us, we don't really have any like secret sauce in the sense that, like, one thing that's important that does make New York different is we don't have an MLS. So we can't use like a Boomtown or one of these like mega CRM type systems that encompasses all the leads and all of the contacts. I think a lot of these companies have tried. It just doesn't work because we refuse to adapt to an MLS system, which is a pain in the butt. So we kind of have to piecemeal it. So, I mean, we use very simple things here. So we use the G Suite, Google Drive, which is where a lot of our files are stored. We have a group text. We use Slack I don't know if you're familiar with Slack. Slack is a huge
We use Slack,
Slack is
we love
key.
Slack.
Yeah, Slack is definitely key. So you can add your feedback from showings, FAQs about properties. How do you access the home? What's the lockbox code? And we don't really use lockboxes, but for that analogy,
Sure.
Things like that are all on Slack. And we do use a CRM. Admittedly, I don't use it well. That's called Pipedrive.
Same here.
Do you use Pipedrive?
No. I'm saying, like,
you don't use CRM well.
I'm not consistent with it.
I mean, I'm the worst offender on planet Earth.
It's tough. He's got like so many leads everywhere, like Vulcan and Mojo. I mean, like I do a lot of prospecting. How do you get most of your business?
Most of our business, honestly, is past clients, sphere of influence, and referrals.
Nice.
We do a lot of referral business. One thing that I think every agent believes that they do, but I fundamentally know that we do, is we just close our business at a higher quality product level than most people. And we, to use Tony Robbins' words, we basically create like raving lunatic fans out of our clients. And they really come back to us and they sing our praises time in and time out.
I love that.
We have clients who are just so deeply loyal to us, and they're constantly on the lookout. And I will say, and this is another Tom Ferry thing, Tom is always saying things like, don't be a silent agent, or don't be, whatever it's called. Don't be a secret agent. He always says, right? I feel so confident in the product we're putting out that I will straight up ask my clients, I'm like, I expect you to refer me 3 people this year. Otherwise, I like that. Yeah, very aggressive that way.
Yeah.
But you have to have the confidence. You have to know that you're putting out a good product. So that's been a big part of business. We don't do a ton of prospecting. Again, shame on us. Jeff, if he sees this, will probably slap me upside the head.
He will. How many appointments have you booked?
Yeah, I mean, we're like totally off on the appointments. But like, I should have an appointment setting calendar. I'm like organized chaos, basically. Yeah. You just like point me in a direction and I will go. But we close at a very high level, so it works. But it could always be better. But we do also have, there are some lead gen platforms that we use. We have there's the equivalent platform in this of Zillow that's called Street Easy. So we have access to some leads through that. Also like little simple things like open house conversion, direct buyer conversion. My business was built on converting buyers and learning how to sell buyers, which obviously right now everybody's always talking about the inventory crunch, and it's harder to work with buyers. But but the thing that I would like, advice I'd give to agents is, when you work with buyers and you're personable and you're good at your job, you build a real relationship with that person. Oh, yeah, and that's also how you end up getting future business. Like you ask about them, you learn about who they are, they learn about who you are. You get to know them on a much more deeper level than just like, hey, sell my apartment, sell my listing, and then you never speak to that person. That's much more transactional. I think buy-side business is much more personal, which is why I actually like it more, even though it's more work. And then you get more business from that. So that's how I built my business. So our business is very much like, market proof in that way, because we're always working with buyers and we're always working with sellers.
So how did you build like such a solid brand like what is it? Is it like the marketing? Is it like the customer service? Is it like the speed of getting back to people? Like, tell me exactly what the experience would be like working with you and your team.
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I'm as A-type as it gets when it comes to like operational and business. You know, my team
Yeah.
is, you know, they're probably gonna like, you know, they're probably like snickering under their breath right now. I'm pretty intense, but I
Yeah.
really care about the product I'm putting out there. So I'm
Yeah.
very A-type. Listen, I always say when I go on a listing appointment, like my spiel is I don't ever try to convince an owner that we have some sort of magic bullet where we do one thing so much better than everybody else. Like I have the
Yeah.
secret formula that no one else has, you know, the fountain of youth of selling your home type thing. I don't have that.
Yeah.
I just say we have a really refined approach, and we do all of the little steps along the way really, really well with attention to detail and care and focus. And we don't really lose a step. You know, so from inception, from the first point of contact, it's just really about giving your utmost attention to every client. I mean, you know, I was with a buyer the other day whose deal came together very, very quickly. She's a longtime client. She wants to trade up, and the first words out of her mouth after when I went to meet her to see this apartment. She's like, "Thank you for making me feel like I'm your only client." Those are the exact words that came out of her mouth. So
That's awesome.
for us, it's just like constantly being front and center. You know, it leads to a lot of, you know, this is your trade. You know, my head is buried in my phone all the time. I'm at dinner. Yeah. I'm in the phone. I'm on the weekends. I'm on the phone. You know, it's a balance. And that, yeah. So I mean, to answer your question, also, yeah, we're, you know, being front and center and being available and constantly putting the client, you know, first, I think has definitely helped a lot.
Okay. Awesome, man. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to build too. Is I'm trying to build like a brand that is, we do, you know, I feel like we do more than any other agent when it comes to listing. I focus more on sellers.
Yeah.
And you know, in terms of like the best fit, like we use like the best photographer. He's super expensive, but like it's like amazing. We have amazing brochures. We do the ads. We do, you know, the social media stuff, the IG live, all the stuff that most agents don't do. We do that all, and we do it for all of our listings. You know, I think
it's going to pay dividends.
It does. Yeah. It just takes a little bit of time, you know,
for sure.
You know,
but all of that stuff that you're doing in my lens is not like, again, you're not trying to sell someone, you know, snake oil. You're just saying, hey, we don't cut corners and we do everything that you want an agent to do, and we do it well. And to me, that gets it done. Like that's the job the seller's looking for. They're not looking for you, you know, to do witchcraft on their property.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Hey, I didn't know that you guys didn't have an MLS. I thought at some point you guys would have had an MLS. So how do you guys like post properties? Like, how does that fucking work? It feels like you're in a third world country over there.
Yeah, it's pretty challenging. I mean, that's honestly part of Elia's job, and like I harp on this all the time with him, is like the listing integrity is such a big issue in our industry, because essentially the way it works, not to like bore you, is we basically have to disseminate all of our information to other brokerages, and they have to then receive it. So it's not as if you just put it on and then it goes everywhere. Like we have to send it to that person, this person, and it's a complicated process. And
oh my God.
In the shuffle, a lot of information gets, you know, like they might have the old listing information from when it was sold 3 years ago with the old photos, and then you have to make sure that the photos are updated. And then sometimes the listing, the photos come out of order, or the old floor plan gets, so it's actually like a pretty big pain in the butt. I mean, listen, from the non-MLS came this pay-to-play website that Zillow owns that has pretty much like cornered the marketplace and created their own MLS, and that's where everybody goes to look at listings.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So you have to pay in order to have your
you have to pay to advertise on that platform. I believe our company pays like whatever arrangement they have, but we don't personally pay. But like we do have, believe it or not, we have to pay to buy back our names on listings. So if we put a listing on this website and you click see property, it actually goes to another agent unless you pay for the right to have your name on the listing. It's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy. It's different.
I mean, over here, it's crazy in its own way. Like over here, we cannot market an off-market property. So like if one of our clients says, hey, you know, I don't want to put it on the market for whatever reason, you know, try to find buyers, our hands are tied. Like as
so
of
you
like
can't
2 years ago.
I thought you're allowed to have pocket listings though.
No, you can't. You can only advertise it within your own brokerage,
Yes,
like if you're
we have that too, actually, to be honest. We can sign an off-market exclusive, but we can only legally advertise it within our firm. But I could I could call you on the phone and say, hey, Paul, I have this listing and I can send you the details. That's kosher.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I
Over
can't
here you can't.
sell it to another broker at another firm.
Yeah, exactly. So
without discussing it first.
yeah. So over here you can only send it to your own brokerage. And obviously I'm at a small boutique firm with 150 agents. It's like the odds of
agents.
Yeah. It's
I
really
thought you
small.
got like 1,000 agents deep.
Oh no, it's really small.
Pretty big presence for such a small firm.
Yeah, and that's a testament to
the
Jeff.
Company. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Rest in peace, man. But he's been amazing. His whole idea was he wanted to be the best luxury brokerage in Beverly Hills. Like he didn't care about having a satellite office in Malibu or in Santa Monica on the West Side. And all of the agents were like, "Can you please have a satellite office in Malibu or in Santa Monica? Like we'd love to have an office over there so that we can, sit there. People can like come in and have a conversation." He's like, "Nope, we want to be the best in Beverly Hills." And
you only have one office.
We only have one office.
Yeah, I've seen it's right in that little like area where a bunch of brokers have offices, right? Yeah,
exactly, on Cannon.
It's right next to the Beverly Hills Hotel, I think, like right in that vicinity.
No.
The Beverly
Hills Hotel.
Beverly Wilshire
like,
Hotel.
Yes, yeah.
There's
Wilshire.
a really nice.
You are from New York.
Right, what's it, Wilshire?
Wilshire, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Come on.
Come on, I'm not from LA. But there's a really nice hotel, like an old school fancy hotel right by your office, whatever that hotel is.
The only one that's really like right next to ours is the Mayborn. And that used to be what was that one called? Fuck, I forgot what it was called. It's like a 5-star. They were selling like condos north of like $10 million. Anyway, so all right. So you talked about Tom Ferry. You talked about your business. Let's talk about your personal life.
What do you want to know?
You have a kid. Congratulations.
I have a kid. Yeah.
That's awesome. I seen your baby as you're working. As you're working, I see that you have your baby on. That's pretty awesome. Man.
Yeah. Well, I haven't brought. I'm pretty private. I keep my private life, which I know is not sort of anti-Tom
real estate.
Anti-real estate, but I drew the line on a lot of social media. In that, like, I felt like my mental health was more important than, if I was mentally healthy, it would be better for business than actually doing things that I didn't really feel that compelled to do. Mm-hmm. I'm not knocking anybody who puts everything out there, but that's just not me. And my better half is the same. She hasn't posted anything on Instagram probably in like 4 or 5 years, and there's no pictures of our child on her Instagram. And that's just that's our personalities. This is who we are.
That's awesome. That's good.
And so, we have a kid. We live very close. This is my office. My office is in Soho, New York. We live like 15 minutes from here. And it's great. I mean, our Ruby she's amazing. We got very lucky. I tell people she's like the sweetest, most like pleasant child. I don't know. I don't have like good reference points, right?
Yeah.
From everything I hear, people are like, I don't know how you got so lucky, especially since I'm so like all over the place and crazy. Like, I think my child would be like having hissy fits and temper tantrums every 2 seconds. But she's actually like very low key, sleeps well, is always smiling. And Alyssa's great too. Awesome, I met Alyssa I actually sold her an apartment, and that's how we met.
Ah, okay.
I was like, hey, this apartment comes with extra amenities.
Did you have a chance to like lose your license?
No, I mean, well, first of all, funny enough, we stopped and started a bunch because I was like, I don't know if this is a good idea. I don't know, like, if it's ethical or not. Like, I did have like a moment of pause of like being like, is this stupid? Am I making a mistake? Yeah. But obviously it all worked out in the end. So,
That's awesome.
But no, I don't think she's breaking any rules. We waited until after she wasn't technically my client anymore, i.e. she closed.
Okay. I was just messing.
She closed and then I closed.
I'm sure it's not.
Just kidding.
I like that. So you made sure to close the deal first, the other deal.
And then I closed the second.
Hey, yeah. Two deals.
She played pretty hard to get, to be honest. I make fun of her all the time. Like, you really did make it hard for me.
That's how my girlfriend was too, man. It was super hard. I was just like, come on, really? Am I a bad guy?
I know. We're not getting any younger here.
Yeah, for sure. So what's the future for Jay?
Great question. So I mean, we're definitely trying to grow the business always.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm never happy, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be in coaching and
yeah,
and trying to improve. Always trying to to hit double our numbers, to improve our
sure.
numbers. Always set unreasonable goals for ourselves so that we can
Yeah,
come short but still do really well. And then also, I started another business in 2021 that we're trying to build
yeah.
too, which is a real estate business, which is like a development business. So
Oh, very
focusing
cool.
some attention on that.
I want to hear about that because that's big over here in LA. The's no land here in LA. So what you're seeing is that all the old houses built in the 50s and 60s
Back
and
down.
earlier are being
Yeah.
bulldozed, and you're
Yeah.
seeing brand new luxury development, and these guys are making like, I just sold a tear down, is what we call it, to one of my developer clients for 1.6 a year and a half ago, and it's 4 months from completion, and we just put it under contract for 4.2. He's
Where
making
area?
in Venice.
In Venice. Love that.
Yeah, I mean all over. I mean, like I lived in Marina Del Rey, just
Yeah, I remember
right
saying.
next to Venice, but I mean there's teardowns in Beverly Hills and Bel Air. I mean the ones in Bel Air, those are the ones that are going for insane amount of money. I mean
Yeah.
you saw the
Yeah.
one that sold for like
Oh, the
100
one was like
and
one. Yeah, that's been on the market for years though, right?
well that one's yeah. Well they also lost a shit ton of money on that one
Yeah.
because I think they owed like a little bit less than 200 million and they sold it for like
Jeez,
140.
that's
Yeah,
crazy.
they lost a lot of
Yeah,
money on that one.
we can't really do teardowns here because the process of like getting approvals and the process of buying and closing is so laborious and has so many steps. It's hard to
Yeah,
like flip in New York. It's very hard to flip. It can be done. Like we have clients who just bought something during COVID in foreclosure.
hmm,
It was a small little like they're not real estate people. They just did this for fun.
yeah,
But they did it well. They bought it for 500K. It was literally just a dump, and they spent like 75, maybe 80, and we had 6 offers or 7 offers on it, and we sold it for 900. So they're a little like
it's not
pocket
bad.
change for them. Yeah,
Yeah,
nothing
yeah,
crazy, and they're not like
yeah.
they're not strapped for cash to people, but it was just like a fun little project for them.
Is
Yeah,
that what you're doing? Are you doing like
no, so we're buying
flips?
multifamily properties and just doing like little light repositioning. So, our thesis is buildings that you can just clean up, improve the hallways, improve the lighting, put in laundry where you can, other little amenities like storage units, cages,
Yeah,
etc. And then pumping rents. So many properties are, as you mentioned, like just marketing
hmm,
properties better and providing a
yeah,
better quality product. There's a
yeah,
lot of there's a lot of buildings that are just under marketed, and you could pump rents
mm,
just by doing better marketing. You know,
mm,
it just shows you the power of a good broker. Like you actually can improve pricing if you execute at a high level.
yeah,
So
for sure.
it's not
So
complicated what we're doing. It's just you have to find the right properties and you have to execute.
so are you buying, flipping them and then selling them?
We're buying them. Well, first of all, we're just in the buying stage right now, so we actually haven't turned any of them over.
Okay, okay,
But we're buying them, repositioning them, and then at some point we will do some sort of liquidity event. So we'll do either a cash out refi. We have investors. We have a substantial investor base, so we'll either
okay.
cash them out to some degree. Give them dividends, give them returns of equity, or if we can, we'll try to sell the properties. So technically, you could call that a flip, but when we add, when we seek money from investors, when we seek investments, we estimate like a 7-year hold period, 7 to 8 year hold.
Oh, gotcha. Okay,
Yes, these are
okay.
not. This is not like a get rich quick or type of thing.
Yeah, yeah. What's the reason behind the 7 years? Is it a reason to do that, or is it?
I think that's just like the natural arc of appreciation where you estimate that over
Oh,
the course of a 7-year hold, you'll hit your projections.
gotcha, gotcha.
Realistically, we will probably be out of one or two or more of these buildings sooner, but we want to take investor money with under the right terms, i.e. we're not going to like tell you we're going to be out in 2 years and then not
Sure.
live around that.
Gotcha, gotcha.
I
And
guess.
how high are you raising rents? Like, I mean, I actually did the reason why I'm asking, I actually did this for myself. I bought a multi-unit, eight
Yeah,
unit in Long Beach, and Long Beach is a really, really hot multifamily area here
yeah, I
in
can imagine.
LA. And I bought it for 1.1 and we spent about 80K. And like you said, the small things, put like laundry, it didn't have
little
laundry,
things. It's not common.
lighting and just, again, small things. And we ended up raising rents double and we're able to sell it 3 years later for a profit of like 400K.
Yeah, I mean, that's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know if we'll double rents, but we'll let's put it this way. The first apartment we rented last summer, we rehabbed it. We basically gutted it. Our super, coincidentally, of the building was phenomenal, owns the building next door, and it's almost the same exact building. And he asked us, he's like, "What'd you rent that apartment for?" And we told him, we said $37.50. And he looks at us, his face drops, looks like he's seen a ghost. He's like, "Excuse me, come again?" It's like, "How did you rent it for that much money?" We're like, this is our business model.
Yeah.
I'm like, we're like, "Why? What's your garden apartment going for?" He's like, I think he's like 2,700, something like that. So like, he was just
That's
blown
awesome.
away. So it's, we're not. First of all, listen, it's also right place, right time, as you know, in our industry, right? Like, real estate can make you look like an absolute genius, or it can make you look like an idiot. The rental market in New York City, which I'm sure it is in LA and everywhere, is bananas. Hot.
Crazy.
So right now, if you have a good product to market, you're going to rent it quickly. We're definitely capitalizing on market conditions for sure.
Yeah. Well, I'll ask you one more question. I know that you're probably busy dude. Been on here for about 40 minutes. Thanks, brother. I really appreciate it. So tell me about how the transition after COVID is affecting real estate. I mean, obviously New York got hit the fucking hardest of any other city in the United States.
Yeah.
Was there an opportunity to buy during that time? And then like, did people do that and now they're looking to sell, or how's the market now?
So it's a great question. So first of all, New York got hit pretty hard, but New York is a buoyant city, right? We got hit hard, but we rebounded very quickly. Every single person every one of my clients who bought so I don't know how much you know about what happened in New York City, but between March and June, our industry was shut down. We were not allowed to work. If I tried to show an apartment in the month of May 2020, which I did, I was technically breaking the rules of my industry.
No way.
Literally could not work. Not like didn't want to work, chose not to work,
cannot.
Legally not allowed to work. So our industry reopened in June, I think 21st or 22nd of 2020. Now our team hit the ground running. We were super prepared and we got crazy busy the rest of that year. Like it was like gangbusters for the rest of 2020. So we were lucky, we were well positioned to have a good year. We didn't have a monster year, but I think relative to other agents, we did very well. But anybody who pulled trigger between say June of 2020 and like January of 2021, like instantly between 5 and 10% equity, right? Like instantly their apartments are now worth, or homes are worth 5 to 10% more. Wow. But fortune favors the bold, right? Like a lot of people weren't willing to pull the trigger during that period. The one thing that people really got hung up on in New York City during that time was, they wanted to get a discount on the discount, and we're not that type of market, right? We're not like, I'm not trying to badmouth any other markets, but like during the recession, like pockets of Florida where you could buy property like 50% off, right? Like you could basically steal things from people. New York City is still an extremely wealthy city despite what we went through. And so you were getting great deals, but you weren't getting like take the shirt off my back deals. That never existed, right? Like that's not the market we operate in. And since basically early 2021, it's been crazy. Like it's been well documented that 2021 was the best year New York City has ever had from a real estate sales perspective.
Really?
And 2022 has so far been very, very strong. There's I know Tom at these events is like, don't call it an inventory crunch, but the reality is there is not a ton of inventory. We have a property that's about to go under contract. We had 8 offers on it, and we're going to sell it at I think 12 to 13. Well, we had offers up to 12 or 13% over ask, and that is something we haven't in New York City since like 2014. So I think we basically started down cycling at the end of 2017. We kind of hit rock bottom coincidentally during COVID, and then we've been sort of cycling back up. So it's like an 8-year period, right? 4 years up, 4 years down.
Weird. That's weird because we didn't have that period over here. like like LA has been hot for like since 2011, 12. Like it's been going up
Yeah,
and like
that
there
we
hasn't
definitely
been
have
a
not
lull.
been that. We've
Yeah.
had some dips. The one thing that's different in LA, although I think LA, I don't know a lot, is catching up now, is that New York has a ton of new development, right? Like you can walk
Yeah.
walk down the street and you see this brand new high rise going up. I know that LA is building more condos now, it seems like, than ever before.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Right. But New York has always had condo supply. So when you have too much supply, right, supply and demand, it's a very simple formula. Right? When there's too much
Yeah.
supply and less demand, the prices are going to go down. So the
Yeah.
new development market hit like a frothy, excessive overload at the end of 2017. And then it just started trickling into the rest of the market, and everything started kind of coming down in price because there was too much supply.
Ah, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And are these big developers that are building these huge high rises? Are they like scraping old apartments or?
Sometimes they're scraping buildings and dumping them. Sometimes it's you know it's two or three stories. It's mostly demolishing. You have to, it's a lot of these developers will do what's called an assemblage. So they'll take like three smaller buildings that they've literally assembled over a decade. You know, they bought that one in 1995, and then they waited patiently 5 years to get the next one, and then they have air rights, and then they assemble those three lots, and they take the combined air rights to build this big tower.
Oh, you can do a combined air rise. So like if one parcel says you can do 5 stories, the other says
Correct.
10 and 20, then
Correct.
you can do a
You
35.
can
No
steal
way. That's so cool.
from one of your other parcels. Correct.
That's awesome.
It's more complicated than I'm leading on, but
Of course.
that's
But
like generally
that's
speaking working.
yeah.
But it takes time and patience, and it takes strategy. You know, it's not like
Yeah.
oh, you snap your fingers and you just build a building.
Yeah. Ah, that's cool, man.
So,
And what's the so do you only I'm sorry, I know I was going to say just one question, but
that's
I'm
hard.
having a good conversation with you. Do you only work in Soho or do you kind of
No,
spread your
so
wings out?
so one like part of my sales pitch, if you will, is that I'm a born and bred in New York City. I'm a born and bred New Yorker. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I didn't move here. I didn't come from another place. Not there's anything wrong with that, but I have been in New York City my entire life. Like people always tell me if I wasn't an agent, I should be a tour guide. Like I can walk down the street and be like, that used to be a Blockbuster Video. That used to be a movie theater. That used to be a
That's
tea shop.
important. People like that.
People do like that. I actually have
Yeah.
clients in LA. They're big LA people. They bought a house from me, a big townhouse from me, and they're very dear clients of mine, and we've become very close. And they said, one of the things we love about you is you would walk down street by street and tell us the nuances of every block. Like not just this is a good block, this is a bad block. You'd be like the school on that block, the bus path, that's where the trash gets picked up. So for me, we operate, my heart is in downtown New York. So Greenwich Village, West Village, Tribeca, Soho, Flatiron, East Village, anything kind of like below 23rd Street, 28th Street is like our sweet spot. But our clients take us to the Upper East Side, to the Upper West Side. We do a good amount of business in Brooklyn. I'm listing a townhouse in Brooklyn in 2 weeks for around $4 million because I used to live in Brooklyn and I know a lot about Brooklyn. So I'm just
and it's $4 million.
And it's $4 million. So I'm just a deal junkie. Like I will go where my clients take me. I learned early in like 2012, 2013. I was like, I'd be foolish to not evolve into other markets only because that's where my database of clients is taking me. Like if you're the Hilton and Hyland guys, you're like, my database is exclusively Beverly Hills. Respect, that's your market. You know your market. But our market, I either didn't do it right or I did it differently, and my market takes me to all different places. So I pretty much have like become, the master of a lot of neighborhoods, I would say.
I'm the same way. Like I like our office is in Beverly Hills, but like I have listings all over the fucking
why not?
all over the place, Yeah. I really enjoy it because you also get to learn a new market as well. And it's so funny because I'll meet with the seller, right? And I do a lot of cold calling. So they'll say, we're interviewing, 2 or 3 other agents. All right, fine. And I'm competing with like a local expert in the area. And they always tell me, so like, have you sold here a lot? I'm like, I sold some things here in the past, but they're like, oh, this other guy sold, this many in this area. I was like, it doesn't matter anymore if you know the area or not. I mean, maybe in New York, but it's about the marketing and about how you present the house to the buyers out there. And a lot of the times, even these like local experts, they forget how to market because they're just like, oh, I know the area, so that's going to be
they
like
take
my
it for
saving
granted.
grace.
Yeah, 100%.
Exactly.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, my expertise is that if I do know the area really well, but it's not just knowing the area well, like as an agent. It's also as like a New Yorker, right? Like I can speak to life as a New Yorker, and I think that resonates with me sometimes.
Oh, for sure it does. For sure it does. What's a hot area right now in New York?
Downtown Manhattan, I'm noticing like the areas I just mentioned, Greenwich Village,
Yeah.
West Village. You know, it's like you put a listing on the market, excuse me, and you're probably getting it sold if it's well priced within 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's
That's
downtown.
awesome.
There's an interesting disparity between what's going on uptown and downtown right now.
Okay. And is downtown basically, you said 23rd, is that like just like south of Central Park? Like
Yeah,
that's what I see.
way south of Central.
Way south. Okay. So kind of like
Yes,
almost at the
Central Park
bottom.
starts basically at the base of what you would have Upper West Side on the west of the
Yeah,
park and Upper
yeah.
East Side on the east.
Okay.
And then between Central Park and say 23rd is what you would consider basically like generally Midtown. And then
Oh, I
under
see.
23rd, you have, various neighborhoods. But between 23rd and Central Park, there's a lot of neighborhoods too. But if
Yeah.
I'm overgeneralizing, you would call that Midtown.
Okay, awesome. Well, I know that when I go to New York, I'm gonna definitely give you a call, bro, and get a tour guide from.
I'm going to put my
from Jay
tour guide
Glazer.
hat on. I'm going to get a
Yes.
loudspeaker and we're going to go.
Yes, yes, yes. I appreciate you coming on, brother. I know that you're a busy guy.
Appreciate having me.
Love meeting you in Vegas. Had a blast with you, and looking
We
forward
did
to
have-
seeing you. Are you gonna come to Summit?
Yeah, I shouldn't say yeah, of course, but there's a very strong likelihood.
All right, cool, man. Well, if you go, let's definitely hang out.
Indeed, we will.
All right, Jay. Thanks for coming
All right.
on, brother. I appreciate it.
You got it.
Later, man. See you, bro.
Bye.